Hello. Okay, I have been really absent about doing the second entry about my characters, and for that I'm sorry. I know that you've just been dying to hear about it, which is a complete and utter lie. Only a couple of my cam friends are watching these things. Um, the second character that I wanted to talk about is my mage character. His real name is Alex Winch or Alex Edwards. I really like the name Alex. I end up using it in a lot of my characters somehow. His real name is Alex Edwards. He goes by the name of Connor McKnight, which some of the geeks out there might recognize it as the red Dino Power Ranger from Power Rangers Dino Thunder, and there's a story behind why he chose the name Connor McKnight. It doesn't have anything to do with Power Rangers, ironically enough. Alex Edwards, he is about 27 years old. No, he's actually 26. His boyfriend is 27. Alex is gay. He awakened when he was about 22 years old. He became an acanthus. Well, he was born in acanthus pretty much. Before that, people suspect he was a sleepwalker just because a lot of the acanthus things still followed him when he didn't have his full powers. He awoke as a double master of fate and time. Unfortunately, he had absolutely no control over those powers, so as a consequence, that kind of scarred him because everybody was afraid of teaching him what he really could do, and so he would blunder his way into a lot of things. He strongly believes in fate and balance because of the fact that he's a Canthus. He believed it beforehand, too, and there were times it really, really crushed him. He has been in play for 5 years now. Uh, Pretty much has the experience for all of that because even though we didn't have a game here, I was allowed to turn in downtimes and do things and talk to things with my domain storyteller who would award me the experience points for him being in play. So he's pretty powerful. Sadly, the amount of roleplay I've gotten in person with him has been restricted to conventions and such. So and whenever he shows up, he's always very concerned about things that other people wouldn't be concerned about. The reason being, I play him, and some of my friends do as well. He's not a mage. He's a guy who has the ability to do magic. He's a normal guy with a normal job and normal friends, and he doesn't really. A lot of the mage players are all, we must get together and go and save the world, or do these cosmically important things, and blah blah blah. And he's going, okay, yeah, you do that, and then what? Go out for a beer afterwards, and they're all just scratching their heads, going, "What are you talking about?" Well, maybe get together and have an orgy because we all love sex. And he's going, "Yeah, no, that's not entirely for me." Even though he's gay, he's a very much a romantic. One of the comments that he has made is he can count on two hands the number of people that he's made love to. He never has sex; he makes love, which is different from most 20-year-olds, at least most 20-year-olds that I've met. Um, there are other stories I'll go into my dating life, my real life dating life later on. Connor is based partially on me and what I wish I could have been and how I should have been in my 20s. He's also based on bits and pieces of my friends that I've seen that I wanted to integrate and tell their story, but not entirely. So. He lost his parents when he was 20 years old, both of his parents, in a car accident. There was no main bad guy who took him down. There was really nobody to blame. It wasn't a murder. It was something traumatic for him. But sadly, it was entirely an accident. It was something really bad that just happened, and his philosophy has always been about balance. He thinks that for every good there's a bad, and for every bad there's a good. So despite the fact that he could make the world a better place for a number of people, he doesn't, and he wants to sometimes. He can't because he views it as you're putting too much on the side of good without any dire consequences, and that can have consequences in and of itself if paradox were ever to take effect. So he has to restrict himself from doing things. He has very few allies in the mage world. There are people he'll talk to and people he'll trust, but he doesn't really, since he's not so connected to their world as much as he should be, he doesn't really see the need to interact with them more. He interacts with more the people in this city, and Austin doesn't have a lot of mages, and the mages that he's met, they're kind of insane to him. The only one who's not is played by Janika Rector, ironically enough, named Ursula, and she takes a very pragmatic view of the world too, where she's like, I don't want to die, and I don't want to deal with all these fucktards all the time. And so he likes to pal around with her. And they end up meeting for coffee and talking about their lives a lot, even though she doesn't know his real name and he doesn't know hers. Um, the only person who calls him by his real name these days is his boyfriend. It's an NPC I created because during my times of just submitting downtimes, I would write stories. I like to write short stories. Almost all they're all fictional, all involving things that I care about. But I just decided that I would incorporate the fact that I had to turn in downtimes for Connor with writing a story on what Connor's doing during his day-to-day life, and I've tentatively called it the Connor Chronicles. One of these days, I'm actually going to learn how to build a website and then post the Connor Chronicles on it because they're about, I'd say about 15 chapters right now in it, and they're based on what Connor would do from a day-to-day basis, and it talks about his relationship with a guy by the name of Jason Millicent. Um, Jason is a year older than him and comes from a very different background than Connor, but they are, for lack of a better term, soulmates type of thing. They balance each other out really well. And Jason is the opposite side of the coin for me, where part of me wishes I could have been the romantic and stuff during my 20s. Jason is the opposite. Jason doesn't view sex as connecting with somebody. He views sex as having a really good time. He doesn't emotionally connect with anybody except for Connor on a romantic level. He knows Connor from when Connor was Alex, before Connor awakened. Alex and Jason dated when they were both in college. That's actually one of the stories that's in the Connor Chronicles, is their first introduction to each other, and it was not pretty. Alex ended up decking Jason for trying to like make massive moves on him. Uh, it's very amusing to me. I enjoy writing a lot. The problem is sometimes I'll get stuck on a chapter and I'll have to put it down for a couple weeks and just go back and reread all the stuff I've done before, and then go back into it. And that makes it a lot more interesting. I get my energy back, and I'll start writing a lot more. Um, Connor has since he's a double master, still a double master of time and fate, because they did this whole reset thing where everybody lost a lot of power and stuff. He's recently rebuilt himself back to being a double master. He has basic levels of the mind sphere and the prime sphere. The only reason he's starting to look into prime is because he wants to learn how to create permanently enchanted objects, so that when Ursula's baby comes, because she's pregnant, Connor is going to give the child a pendant that will have the Ferris Fair. The kid will have exceptional luck. Kid won't get hurt in any way. He doesn't want the child to be hurt. And other mages, if they want to charge him for something like that, he can do that. He's also an adept, level 4, of the life magics, and I don't want to make him a triple master because I'm an MC12 person, and that's just really cheesy to use it to just build up lots and lots and lots of cosmic powers and not do things like spend it on abilities and traits, so that everything balances out. Otherwise, I look like I came in with a huge hammer that I want to whack everybody over the head with. We have a person who's done that in the Austin domain, and I really hate the way he plays his character, because he came in with an insane person and just decided everybody's going to do what I say, blah blah blah. It pissed off a lot of people, drove some people away from the mage game, myself included. So I just was determined not to do that. Connor's my other great character that I love a lot, besides Kieran. I don't really have any other characters I'm playing. I'll make entries about some of my past characters. Probably one will be Dieter from the Old Chronicle. Was my elder, because the Ravnos clan don't have elders. Oh, I'm even wearing my Ravnos t-shirt because I love the Ravnos. The Ravnos are like the best clan ever. But Dieter was my favorite character, as anybody who knows me can tell you. I played him for about 8 years, consistently, twice a month, every month. So, except for 2 months or a month and a half where I was suspended from the organization or from playing that character because somebody in San Antonio got into a hissy fit. I'll probably end up talking about that at a later time too. Well, thanks for listening. I will talk with you later. Bye.